everybody. This is Coach Tara from Release and Increase. This particular live broadcast is going out to my Release and Increase page. If you're not a fan of it or you don't like that page yet, go on over there and like that page. It's facebook.com/release and increase, all one word. And I just wanted to say hello, everybody. This is Tara Woodruff, and I want to talk a little bit about today a couple of things about stress and feeling and being in your best health. We all know the stress causes heart disease, stress causes cancer. We know all of that. But what we don't realize is the role that stress plays in our life as far as being day-to-day happy with our physical fitness and our health. Now, I've got a couple of theories on this, and I know that I'm going to prove them to be true. Let me move some things over here. I need to prop my elbows up correctly. And that is, I want to discuss with you primal fear. I want to discuss with you primal fear. Now, I think this is my idea. I don't know if it's been studied before or if it's been proven before, but I'm pretty sure that I didn't get this all on my own. It's just something that I've really been thinking about a lot when it comes to cortisol production, and when it comes to visceral fat, and when it comes to feeling tired and fatigued all the time, and when it comes to your proper metabolism, so that you're metabolizing the foods that you're eating correctly. Now, stress comes from a lot of different areas. Stress comes from your computer. Stress comes from... I think I screwed something up. That's okay. Stress comes from your day-to-day activities that you don't even realize cause stress. And then you've got the stress that you know is there, like the stress at your job, the stress in traffic, the stress in your family relations, the stress in your finances, the stress in, watching the news, even stress when you're entertaining yourself. Maybe you're watching some sort of, I like action and violence in my entertainment. Okay, I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead. If you aren't really careful with how much that you're watching things like that, you're raising your stress level. Now, what does that have to do with primal fear? Well, the hormone that is released into your body called cortisol, is reacting to stress indicators in your life. Now, there's a couple things I want you to think about. That you're not going to live a perfectly no stress life. It's impossible. Not a modern human being can't do it. However, the thing about primal fear and that reaction and that connection with the cortisol production in your body and how you metabolize your foods, that's a really important connection to make, and I want to make it with you today. I want to share that with you today. So, stress is when you're up late because you're hiding from a predator that is a daytime predator. Think about that. People don't stay up all night in the world. If we didn't have technology, people wouldn't be staying up all night unless that was the only time they could move, make movement, hunt for food, or get done with things they needed to get done within the day, that they needed to hide and do it under cover of darkness. So when you stay up late at night, when you stay up late all night long and you got your face glued to the computer and you're right there all the time, even though you're not hiding from a warrior tribe, or you're not hiding from nocturnal predators, you're just Facebooking or writing a blog or whatever it is that you're doing, watching something live streaming. Your body doesn't know the difference between that on a primal level than actual fear. So what's going on is in our modern world, we are experiencing a lot of false fear, and our body's reacting as if it's real fear, because the same signals are shot off in your brain and the same hormone is released into your body. So is this starting to make sense? Let me give you another example of how primal fear seeps into our modern day life. Back when we were primal and we were hunter-gatherers, we had to compete with food sources with other apex predators. We're talking saber-toothed tigers. We're talking wolves. We're talking competitive humanoid tribes. We're talking all sorts of crazy stuff was going on. So we were in the pursuit of our food with that kind of competition. Now, on top of that, we were also the prey of those other predators in that kind of competition. So, when we used to run really quickly to get away from something or run really quickly to chase something down, our body released endorphins and cortisol into our system because it helps us achieve results in those situations. Now, think about this. When you're driving in your car at 55 miles per hour, your primal self is releasing cortisol into your body because you're running. Now, you're not actually running. You're sitting down and you're driving, and you might even be having a nice drive in the country. You might not even be rushing anywhere. You might just actually feel or think you feel relaxed. The thing is your body doesn't think that. So we have to be really careful with those kind of stimuli in our modern life and how that affects our cortisol production. Now, how do we contradict this? How do we counterbalance that as modern people? We are a modern humanoid race that we drive, we watch TV, we stay up late and work on our businesses and stay up late and play Farmville. We do that kind of stuff. We do it. How do we counterbalance so that we are not sending these signals to our primal self, making us feel like that we are in flight or fight mode all the time? Well, there's a couple of things that you can do. First of all, you want to have time where you actually meditate. You want to have time where you actually get quiet and you relax, okay? You also need to spend time in the sun. It's really important that your eyes, not sitting next to a window like I am right now, but out there in the sun, it's really important that your eyes know that you're awake during the day, okay? Because all that time that you spend on the computer after dark is making your body produce a lot of cortisol. And what's better is you probably should be going to bed a little bit earlier. Easier said than done, I know, for a lot of people, especially for kick-ass people like Shakuma. He's busting butt probably 24 hours a day. There's a time and place for everything. I'm sure there's a time where he's taking some time to get away from the computer, especially when his internet gives him trouble, and get some relaxation time done. So stop having all this white screen in your face all the time and get some real sunlight in your eyes. I'm not talking about looking at the sun. I'm talking about being outside without your eyes being covered up. Okay, there's a lot of people think that the sun is bad, and the pharmaceutical companies have got you thinking the sun is bad for you, but the sun is the number one source of vitamin D that we can get, and the best way our body assimilates vitamin D. We are a photo animal. We like sun. We're a lot like plants when it comes to that, and it's really important that we get some of it. That doesn't mean you got to go out there and bake yourself with baby oil and Coca-Cola all over your skin to get a savage tan. What it means is that you need to spend a significant period of time outside in the air with the sun on your face. Period. That's what gardening's for. That's what, mowing your lawn's for. That's what going for a walk with your loved one around the block is for. That's what that stuff is for. Also, another way to counteract that, besides meditation and getting outside, is exercise. One of the most powerful things that you could do for your body is to give yourself exercise, because it actually helps you to metabolize your food correctly and gives you peace. It helps you be calmer. It helps you relax more. It gives you more energy when you need to have the energy. I know that when I skip my workout in the morning, when I try to wake up and just before I even talk to anybody, and I'm still like this, I try to do my workout right away. As soon as I do that, I grab myself my nutritional smoothie. I go ahead and I get myself a cup of coffee, and I do my reading and whatnot. As soon as I do that, I have a massive amount of energy throughout the day when I'm supposed to have the energy. And this way, when it comes night and I'm done doing my work, I can do some entertainment, and I can keep that in its place because I'm tired enough to go to bed at a decent hour. Now, sometimes you're going to stay up later, whatever, but it's really important that you combine fresh air and sunlight, that you combine exercise, and that you combine some meditation time. It's important for you to get quiet. Even if you just go sit outside under a tree and just Think about what you're doing today, or think about how yesterday was, or think about your dreams. That's even better. Think about where you want to go. But stop giving your body these false symbols of this primal fear, because it will continue to produce the hormones in your body that give you disease, that give you visceral fat, that give you obesity, that give you problems in your life. It's really important that you start to counterbalance that, because your body is going to react the way it reacted 5,000 years ago. The thing is that what's making the body do that is very different. Being on the computer shouldn't stress you out. The problem is it does, even if you don't know it. Driving down the road, even a beautiful casual Sunday drive, is stressing your body out. So you want to be really careful with that, guys. And it's important for you to get in the dirt. I think probably one of the best things that you could do for yourself to really help you produce the better hormones. So that, I'm not saying cortisol is not important, but cortisol is important when you are being chased, when you are hiding in the day and working at night, when you are in those kind of dangerous situations that most people not in the Western world are not in those situations. There are people living in those situations all across the planet. There are people that really live in those situations all across the planet. But generally, I'm just going to say generally, because I know there are people living that way right here in America. Generally, it's important for you to relax. It's even more important that if you are living in a situation like that in the Western world, where you do feel hunted, where you are feeling unsafe, that you even go at this harder, that you try to bring counterbalance into your life even more, because that's why lower income people that live in dangerous neighborhoods in this country die of hypertension more than anything else. They're killing themselves before gunshot wounds and violent crimes, because we are disconnected from who we are primarily as human beings. So, with that being said, I just wanted to kind of get that out there, because I'm going to be hosting a webinar soon. I'm doing really good. I don't know how to say your name. Ogami? I can't hear you back. I can't hear you back. I'm sorry about that, but thank you. I'm doing really great. Anybody have any questions about primal self, primal fear, real fear, and the fear that we have as modern human beings? Definitely say something now. I'll put my glasses on so I can read even better. And I'm putting together a webinar because I want to discuss this on a deeper level, because I just feel a lot of people don't get it. They think that life is better really high strung and under the gun, and sometimes we do produce better when we're under the gun and really high stress. And there's a reason for that. But that's not how we're supposed to be functioning every single day. It's just not good for your body. It's going to give you, if it doesn't make you obese, it's going to make you very stressed out and give you other related diseases that are just going to hurt you. So I really want to encourage you guys to watch also the food that you're eating. If you're eating highly processed foods, it's triggering that a fight or flight in your brain. It's triggering the primal fear again, because the only time that we ever processed our food is when there was a lack of fresh food. So even though, even if you're a whole foodist and you're eating homemade jams and you're eating homemade things like that, you only do that for a season. You don't do that every day. Okay? So I'm not into like paleo. I'm sure paleo probably has the same kind of idea about this. I don't even know what that is. I've never really studied it. But when I'm thinking about this more and more, I'm thinking that this is probably a similar philosophy to that. Eat what's fresh more than anything else. When you put the fresh food on your plate, and that is predominant on your plate, that is the majority of the food that you're eating at that particular meal. And the processed food, or the processed food could be anything from meat, because you got to process the meat. You go through the process. If you're raising your own meat, you raise the meat, you kill the meat, and then you process the meat off the bone, whatever. So you put it on your plate, you cook it, or you're buying it processed. Now that's another thing. Is store-bought meat. Being a factory farm animal for our food is one of the most stressful things that have ever happened to an animal. Now, this is why there's a really big movement in the vegan area. their concern is ethics, and I understand. Because if you've ever watched Meet Your Meat, you would be a little afraid about what you're ingesting. Because if you're ingesting an animal that's been abused and tortured its entire life, imagine the chemical compound of that meat. Think about that. So reduce the amount of factory farm raised meat. Go with local meats. Go with grass-fed meats. Go with humanely processed meats. You know, there is a way. I know a vegan will argue with me on this all day long. There is a way to process meat where you're not torturing the animal. I had 4 chickens 2 years ago. I have 1 now. Nobody suffered. Nobody was abused. None of them were treated badly. Not at all, and not all the way through. So think about that. So you want your plate to be predominantly fresh food. You also want to watch how much processed food is there. No more, you know, if you're going to have rice, a white rice, or if you're going to have factory farm raised meat, or if you're going to have a pasta or anything like that, all that's very processed. You want to be really careful with how much processed food is on your plate. And that includes everything. Now, I want to address the vegan thing I just said about vegetables. We have proven that plants communicate with each other. Just because we don't recognize their pain when they have a communication with each other doesn't mean they're not experiencing it. So be good to your food through the whole process. If you can grow it, whatever, and if you don't grow it, you ever hear of the water experiment? The guy in Japan, he said love to water and the molecule changed. You know what I mean? Like, and he said Nazi Germany and the molecule changed and all that. Do that with your food. Be kind to your food. Your food will be kind to you, and you'll be less stressed out, produce less cortisol, and experience less disease. And that's what's going on. And that's how I'm changing my life, guys. That's how I'm changing my life. I remember I see Michael, what's up? A few years ago, I was trying to lose weight with a particular company. I won't mention the name because I know I don't care if they're trying to make a business out of it, but I don't want to get slapped with an injunction, and they're very, very, very lawsuit. They love that stuff. The processed, portion of their protein shake was they actually were including items in that shake that cause your cortisols to rise because it gives your body stress because you shouldn't be eating it. You should be avoiding soy at all costs, especially protein soy isolate. And you're better off with an animal-based protein for sure, or a hemp or a pea, but don't be doing soy isolate, and don't use artificial sweeteners, especially sucralose. Whatever kind of testing they did on it, they did it with 50 people, and that was it, and you can see what's going on in this world. Okay? So be careful with that kind of stuff. If you're using a protein shake, make sure it's got things in it that are superfoods. Make sure that it's got things in there that you feel good about, and that you don't ever have to justify what it is to yourself. If you wouldn't feed it to your children or your grandparents, you shouldn't be doing it either. Okay? So think about that. Get some peace in your life. Read some books. Relax. Be careful of your entertainment. That as well can cause stress. Like I told you, I love it violent in my entertainment. I love political dramas too. I like intrigue, but because the rest of my life is all just know and be careful, and reduce the amount of time you're spending in front of a TV. Reduce the amount of time that you're driving. Reduce the amount of time you're on your computer, and get out there and move. Get out there in the sunlight, see the sunlight, and move around, guys. And keep your eyes out. I'm putting together slides. I got a bunch of notes so far. I'm going to do a webinar to help people just be happier and healthier and love their life. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian. I am not any of that. All I am is me, a 44-year-old woman, getting my healthy on, and that's that. Okay? So I'll see you guys on the other side. If you're interested in learning about the program that I'm using to get my shit together, as you can see, it is working, and I feel really good. Go on over to CoachTara.com/June. I've got a couple of specials, and it happens to be the exact same program I'm using, and I look forward to helping you out. I'll see you on the other side. Peace. Bye.